Morning everybody. So day 3 of my 30-day challenge. Hopefully I'm coming through loud and clear. I've got a speaker on the microphone at this time, just in case, because we're going to get down the beach and it might be a wee bit windy, so this will take the resistance away. Hear me okay, as if I've got something to say. Anyway, today touched a wee bit on things like investment strategies and property and the market itself yesterday. I think what I want to talk about today is my journey. So how did I start in buy-to-let? Well, 27 years ago. That's how I started. I'll talk about my first property, how that came about. I think it was always something I wanted to do. I did see at age about 16, I think I saw the Cook Report. Cook Report was, highlighting the fact of unscrupulous landlords in London and what they were doing to their tenants. And I felt that, what they were doing was a wee bit unjust, Hard to say that for a landlord, because people don't expect landlords to say that. Wee bit unjust. And it resonated in my mind, the return on capital they were getting at that time. And I thought, geez, they're getting all that money and yet they'll not even provide good accommodation for their tenants to live in. And that kind of stuck with me for a long time. And it was something I really wanted to get involved in, I suppose. Because of that, more of the social aspect as well as the investment aspect as well. But over the years, maybe a lesson learnt here. Hi Nigel, how you doing? Maybe a lesson learnt here is don't let anybody steal your dream. I think that's the most important thing. Because what happened between the age of 16 and the age of 25 is when I first started. I used to speak to people about it who I thought were more successful than me at the time, my peers, and they used to say to me, you don't want to do that, it's too much hassle, it's too much bother, you'll get into trouble and all the rest of it, and they used to put me off. And at that time I had no knowledge and no idea, and I respected all these people, and I still do today in their own field. But I did feel that, they probably in hindsight, they did steal my dream. They put me off it. So I could have been involved in probably the property market at the age of 16, but it took me to 25 to get involved in it. So 1993, this is Silverburn by the way, beautiful location, misty, we're going to be going down the beach today. So 1993 was when I first started my journey in buy-to-let. My first property was 15,500. It took me a while to buy that. I had to prove the model to myself. I'm all one about proving the model and making sure there's no risk involved in terms of what I do and how I do it. So take the risk out of everything if you can, minimise it as much as possible, I would say. So my first property, 15,500. I wasn't very sure whether I was going to buy it or not. Hi Mark, how you doing? So what I did was I put some adverts in the paper. Buy-to-let was never a word when I first started. Bank managers had no idea. There was no mortgages available for buy-to-let landlords. It didn't exist. I used to go to a lot of banks and say to them, I've got a great idea. Why don't I rent a property? I'll get this return and all the rest. And they go, well, we don't do that. It's not our product. We don't know what you're talking about, to be honest. So I had to prove the model. I'll go back to that. I diverse a lot. So I was proving the model to myself. I put some adverts in the paper just to prove the fact that there would be demand for a rented property. I was very nervous, very sceptical about the whole process. I was terrified actually that I would lose everything if I invested in a property. So I did all the proving and I did all the modelling in order to make sure that it minimised all the risk involved. And my first property was a 1-bedroom upper flat. I've still got it today after 27 years. I'll talk a bit more about what the return on that is. So, and I rented it for, I think it was £70 a week at that time. So about 280 or 303, £303.33 a month. And that's what I was getting for it. And it worked. And I managed, after probably going through, maybe about 20 successive bank managers to try and prove to them that this worked. One bank manager at the Bank of Scotland says, that's a great idea. Why did nobody else think of that? And he decided to offer me term loans. Hi Jill, how you doing this morning? He decided to offer me what was term loans at that time, basically capital repayment vehicles. They were loans structured over a period of time, 25 years, you paid it back in the capital and the interest at the same time. So that's how I first started on my journey. Proved the model to myself, made sure it worked. This is the Leaving Links, by the way. Beautiful day, nice and peaceful. Proved the model, proved it worked to myself. There's trials and tribulations along the way, definitely in this property. Over the years, when you think about the logic of this though, I bought this for £15,500. Over the years, or for the 27 years, I calculated it yesterday, I've probably brought in a gross rent of just under £100,000 over the 27 years for that property. Listen, that's all not money in my pocket. I've changed the kitchen, I've changed the heating, I've double glazed it, UPVC doors, I've changed the shower room, I've decorated it and carpeted it so many times you wouldn't believe it. So it's not all money in the bank. But there's a decent return to be made in the buy-to-let business if you do it right, and if you get it right. If you think it's all about money, you shouldn't be in the buy-to-let business. This is not what it's all about. For me, it's more social as well. Making sure somebody's looked after, making sure they've got the right property, making sure you fulfil a need in the current market. I think that's what it is for me in terms of buy-to-let. So that's what I did. I invested heavily in that. Proved the model to myself, and once I got that done, I was like, wow, this works. And then I kind of went crazy for a period of time. I went to the bank and says, there's the figures, there's the stats, this works. And then I laid it right in front of them. The bank actually said to me one day, he says, you're not going to tell me what you got for your breakfast this morning. I went, what do you mean? He says, well, you tell me everything else. He says, you walk in here and you've got the answer before I even have any questions to say. He says, you've got everything covered, belts and braces. I can't disagree with you. You know, it's just a case of rubber stamping saying, there's the money. Go and buy what you want. It makes absolute sense to them. So I had a sympathetic bank manager who actually was really, really good to me. Old Templeton, I think it was. Yeah. All these many years I've got Bank of Scotland in Leiden. So that's how I first started off my buy-to-let journey. So I'll maybe talk about my next property purchase tomorrow, but I will talk about today. Is after my vlog yesterday, or my live feed, I got one of our existing landlords got in touch with me and says, I really need to speak about my portfolio or my property I've got. I'm thinking about buying another one, but it's going to be a wee bit further off. Okay, no bother. I'll fit you in this afternoon. We'll do a wee Zoom call. I'll talk over some figures to you. So he was thinking, okay, I could buy a property maybe in a couple of years. So that's what I'll probably want to do. So I'm wanting to do some research just now. I'm just wanting you to crunch some numbers with me, make me feel like, you know, make the figures work. Okay, so let's look at your situation. So we had a review situation, and by the time I was finished with his one property, he was probably earning, I would say, $4,000 a year. I had him able to buy, with the same money, buy 4 properties, so have 4 properties, and actually be earning $12,000 a year. No more money, just the same money he had already. That's the significant difference of track record. That's the significant difference of talking to someone that's done it before, it knows what they're doing. Look at Leaving Beach, brilliant. It knows what they're doing. It's made all the mistakes before, so you don't need to make them yourself. I think that's really what it comes down to. And then we further went on to that, and I extrapolated this a bit. Extrapolate means forecast. Sorry, I'm an accountant by trade, so I get a bit carried away with my numbers and my figures. So I extrapolated this a bit, and I said, I've actually worked this all out, and I reckon by the time if you've reinvested all this and kept going and going and going, and worked this model, and actually not take anything out, and put it all back in, I reckon by the time year 10 comes along, I could have this 70,000 that you had, and probably have made about 400,000 in gains, but you'd also be on an annualised income of 45,000 a year. Passive income, no involvement. And that blows my mind. Compound interest, look it up. You wouldn't believe how it works. It is unbelievable. It is doing today what others will not to achieve tomorrow what others cannot. It's the delayed gratification. It's rather than go out and spend all your money, I'm going to have a rant here, rather than go out and spend all your money on a fancy car, you know, the biggest house you can get and the biggest mortgage you can get, I wouldn't recommend it. Why not reinvest some of it in yourself? And I mean that in terms of reinvestment strategy. It's having your job keeps you living from day to day. Your property investment or your investments outside of that, your multiple income streams, are slow burners. They're designed to build wealth over time. And that's what creates lifestyle. So your job is your day-to-day. That's what makes you a day-to-day living. But the other one creates lifestyle, and that is the slow burner. So that's my lesson for today. For me anyway. You know, probably keep investing, whether it's a pension. I'm a big thing. I never used to be a big thing for pensions. I used to think, why throw that money away to get it at 55 or 60-year-old? But you wouldn't believe the money you could make if you retire from a pension. It'll blow your mind, and I'll talk about that sometime in the future. For now though, have a fantastic day. I'll give you a wee look. Let's have a wee spin round and see. Look at that. That is the beach. There's no one here. And the Links golf course. Nothing like it. Bye for now, folks. See you later, Mark. See you, Joe. And see you, Nigel.